Today's date is January 13th, 2023. I have that it is 3:39 p.m. or 15:39 hours. I am Dale Strickland, LaGrange Police Department. I'll be conducting an interview with Captain Mike Pheil in reference to an internal review I was directed to complete regarding an allegation of improper behavior that occurred at the 2022 supervisor retreat at Banning Mills, located in Whitesburg, Georgia. In reference to the dates, they were Monday, November the 14th, 2022, Tuesday, November the 15th, 2022, and Wednesday, November the 16th, 2022. All right, first question, Captain Pheil, is that my question is, were you a participant of the 2022 retreat at Banning Mills?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And on that Monday, November the 14th, can you tell me when you went to Banning Mills, how you got there, and the events of that day?
Well, I came to work that morning to the office. Worked in the office until 10:30, 11 o'clock, because I think, if I remember correctly, lunch starts at 12. So I would have got there somewhere right at a little before 12. So I drove my city-assigned vehicle up there, drove by myself, arrived. Most of the group was already there, sitting in the lobby area outside of the cafeteria area, dining area. We ate lunch, made our way down. Class started, I presume, about 1. And we were in class until, I presume, 4:30, 5, somewhere in that area. It usually breaks at 5.
Okay.
Maybe a little before.
Okay.
I took with me 2 gallons of homemade wine that I had made, because this past winter I made several gallons. And I took 2 of those gallons with me, and so I took them to the porch with me down there. And I don't know, there were a whole bunch of folks there. But I found a chair somewhere and sat down, chit-chatted, walked around. Throughout the evening I was drinking my homemade wine, encouraging other folks to taste it, but there was a good bit of variety going on, different kinds of alcohol that they had purchased and brought themselves, different ones.
Do you recall specifically who was down there on the back porch that afternoon? And I've got that list there you will refer to best as you can recall.
I know the chief was not there because I knew after class that Monday he left to come back, if I remember correctly, come back to LaGrange for something.
Okay.
So shortly before I went to the porch, I communicated with him to see if he was back yet, and he said no, not yet. Andre, historically she never comes down there, so I don't think she was there. I know at some point Eric was there. I don't know if he was there when I first got there or if he come later. Robert Kirby was there. Karen Sanders, like I said, she had, if I remember correctly, an injured leg or something, but she was not there. I presume, but I'm not sure if Cavender was there or not. Pretty sure Peterson was sitting at one of the tables when I got there. Do not know about Jeremy Butler. Pretty sure Chris Pritchett was there, because it seemed to me like he and Josh Clower were sitting on the edge of the porch or something. I don't know that I ever saw Robert Moore. Pretty sure I talked with Craig Wheeler. I know I talked with Jeremy Jones. For some reason, I don't know if Fowler was there or not. I don't remember Brian Brown. I remember Rebecca was there.
Individuals where you started that, you said that, I'm assuming you were talking about there being other alcohol there, other people brought alcohol there.
Yeah, other members of our group.
No.
There was nobody else outside of our group. there.
Okay.
So when I got there, there was already an array of, or a selection of alcohol out on one of the tables or a couple of the tables.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought my stuff in a cooler because you have to keep it on. I had to keep it on ice. I wanted it cold, so I brought a cooler, set it down over there, and if I remember correctly, I bought a sleeve of plastic cups so that if anybody else wanted some, they could have some.
Okay.
And I had my cup and enjoyed my share of my homemade wine.
All right. In your observations there, did you see anybody that you would have considered to be intoxicated, or when I say intoxicated, not safe to drive is kind of like a baseline, or even further than that, intoxication levels?
Well, I think I would not have driven.
Okay.
But if anybody else was overly intoxicated, it wasn't apparent to me. Everybody was having their private little conversations. It was not like holistic, everybody participating in a single conversation.
Okay.
This group would talk, that group's talking. Sometimes that person would yell over here and participate in this conversation. No, just not that I recall.
Okay. Specifically, did you remember or do you recall Sergeant Becky or Rebecca Knowles sitting in your lap during that gathering?
No, and it's like I said, when I was first questioned on that, I said, she was sitting in my lap. And absolutely. I just could not imagine that. But I've got Sergeant Hall told me, yeah, she sat in your lap. She said, I was sitting right in front of you, and she sat in your lap, and then she got up and sat in somebody else's lap, but I still don't remember it. But if he tells me that she sat in my lap, she may have sat in my lap.
Okay. Do you recall, well, obviously, if you don't recall her sitting in your lap, then you would not recall you're putting her hands up her shirt?
I could not imagine that.
Okay. Do you recall having a conversation with her independently away from the group about anything?
No, I don't, but Lieutenant Lohr tells me he did, because after this written complaint comes out, I had a conversation with him. I said, what in the world? He says, the only thing I saw was at one point he told me, Rebecca, you were over there. He said, you, talking about me, was over near the rails, or you were over there on the edge of the porch consoling Rebecca. And I said, what are you talking about, consoling? He says, I don't know, but she was crying and you were consoling her. I said, what do you mean consoling? He says, I don't know what you're saying. I wasn't close enough to tell, but I thought you were consoling her. And he said, I left and went to bed.
Okay.
So
you don't recall that personally. You're just going based on what
Eric
Lohr told
That's
you.
just like,
Okay.
if Robbie says she sat in my lap, I'll tell you she sat in my lap, but I don't remember.
Okay.
If I consoled her because she was crying, I don't remember her crying, and I don't remember consoling her.
Do you recall Becky sitting in anybody else's lap, or seeing her sitting in anybody else's lap?
I don't, but
Okay.
Robbie told me that she did.
Okay. All right. Why is it that you don't remember these things that took place? Why the loss of memory?
I must have drank a whole lot, but I don't remember it even as much as I've thought about it, because the way Declar has questioned me about it. One, I can't imagine me being friendly enough, casual enough to let Rebecca Knowles sit in my lap. As staunchly as I've been against that one even coming to patrol, because of the turmoil that she and Clayton and Wendy have created in the police department. I've been against that to begin with, so I just can't imagine this would take place. And so you talk about humiliated that I'm sitting here, but I don't remember.
Okay. All right. And you think that, and again, you think that's as a result of the amount of alcohol that was consumed that night?
It had to be.
Okay.
And of course, several of the folks that have enjoyed my wine said it was pretty strong, but.
Okay.
And I know about half a gallon of both of them were gone, because I sent a half a gallon home with two other people after that.
Okay.
which was a left.
Okay. All right. So do you remember leaving the back porch that day and that night and going back to your cabin?
I remember getting there because when I got home the next morning, the cooler was still on the porch.
Okay.
I mean, when I got up the next morning.
All right. Well, tell me about Tuesday then. After that's taken place, tell me about Tuesday. What time you got up? Where you guys ended up going the day, for example, on Tuesday. Have you heard, or do you know, or have you seen personally any photographs or videos that were taken at any point during the supervisor retreat, either during duty hours or afterwards?
No, because Dekmar asked me about that when he got that thing through Meg, open records thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it kind of odd the way it was worded. They wanted videos from any of sessions or something, if I remember correctly. But I told him that Karen took some videos during one of the sessions or pictures or something. But as far as I know, nobody else had videos.
Anything that you have heard of or know of outside of the class setting?
Not that I know of, but the allegation that started that when he first called me, apparently somebody made the allegation that there was video.
But you've not seen it, and you don't know what video. Okay. Do you have any idea, or have you heard who may have been responsible if there were any of those taken through that allegation or rumor?
Well, that was part of my query or my questioning when I spoke with Robbie Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And we debated, okay, if somebody on that porch who may have taken a video, who would it be? I would have bet initially I would have said Peterson, but Josh Clower's name was popped there. I said, well, I don't. Either way, it don't make any sense. But
but that's what I'm saying. Is it just rumor, or did somebody say, "Hey, I've seen a photograph or video"?
Nobody's told me they've ever seen a video.
Okay.
That was just an allegation.
And no photographs either. Then, I'm assuming. Okay. All right. Is there anything else that I've not asked you about? Do you think I need to know as a part of this internal review?
Any questions that you can ask me about? I don't know.
Okay. All right. This concludes this interview. It is currently 16:05 or 4:05 p.m. It is still Friday, January 13th, 2023. Thank you, sir. Today's date is January the 27th, 2023. I have that it is 1700 hours or 5 p.m. I'm Dale Strickland, LaGrange Police Department, conducting a follow-up interview with Captain Mike Pheil in reference to an internal review that I've been conducting. Captain Pheil, the question specifically as it relates to your first interview while at Banning Mills on the back deck Monday, November the 14th, 2022. You had consumed some alcohol during a gathering of supervisors on the back deck, and during that there was some behavior, or in fact there were a large portion of the time you're being on the back deck that you don't recall or you don't remember. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. It's been brought to my attention that obviously that you have a medical condition that requires you to take medication, and I was going to ask if you had experienced in the past the medication mixture with alcohol, and you're losing or not remembering things as such.
That is the case. After our initial interview, of course, I shared all this with my wife, and she was quite quickly and very pointedly pointing out examples of where that had happened in the past. Of course, I've done most of my drinking at the house when I know I don't have to drive or not subject to having to go somewhere, and she was able to give me a couple of different examples, one of which was when I was talking with the chief, months before this incident, where I talked a good bit of time on the telephone with him about a particular topic, and the day after that, he had asked me about it, and I didn't know what in the world he was talking about it, and I mentioned that to my wife when I got home that day, and she went back through it specifically, and she reminded me of that after the first interview. So it was abundantly clear that this was not the first time. And so she'd done some research on the different medications that I take, and she pretty well drew the line, and I've not had any alcohol at all since then.
Okay. You indicated just in our brief conversation earlier today that you were going to meet with your doctor and discuss that with the doctor as well, to talk with him about the medication and that mixture.
That's correct. I've already talked with Dr. Solt, and I'm also meet with my rheumatologist next Thursday.
Okay.
That'll be a part of the conversation as well.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add regarding this part of the interview?
I'm unaware unless you got some more questions based on what you may or may not have come up with.
Yeah. I do not at this time. All right. Thank you, sir. Today's date is still January the 27th. I have that it is 17:04 or 5:04 p.m. Thank you.